MHA Swear Jars by belicorn123. Swear jars are as follows. Bakugo threatens murder. Deku apologizes for nothing. Todoroki threatens his dad. He's still a hero, Todoroki, you can't keep doing this. Uraraka crushes on Deku. Give it a rest, he's gay, jar. Ida being too tense. Kirishima saying manly 3+ times in a sentence. Denki bad flirting with Shinso. Mina teaching people slang. Tokoyama talks about darkness. Aoyama eats cheese despite being lactose intolerant. Sero, that's what she said, your mama jokes. Jiro singing randomly in conversation. Koda talks to animals over people. Shinso, what did I say about loud blondes? Agakure apologizes for other people bumping into her. Shoji, Momo, Ojiro, Sato, and Sue are all sane enough that Aizawa leaves them out of this. Chapter 1. Bakugo's POV. Deku, I'm going to kill you! Bakugo screamed, practically launching himself at Deku before being stopped by Aizawa's emotionless voice. Jar. Bakugo growled, dumping a coin in his dedicated threatens murder jar. Aizawa had set up this stupid system at the start of their second year, and it had done little to quell Bakugo's rage, but he did try not to actually threaten murder, so maybe it was working. I'm sorry, Kat-chan, I didn't mean to make you put money in your jar, Deku yelled, only to get hit by the same emotionless instructions from Aizawa. I'm sorry, Aizawa-sensei. Jar again, Midoriya, Aizawa grunted, not even looking at them. This time the nerd managed to hold in the almost involuntary apology. He had lost a lot of money for this unnecessary apologies when they had first started the system. He used to get caught in loops of apologies, at least now he was a little better. What did you want, Kat-chan? Deku asked, walking back to his desk. Huh? Oh, I don't remember, Bakugo grunted, shaking his head. He could not for the life of him remember why he had been angry at Deku. Oh well, Deku probably deserved it regardless. Class went fairly smoothly, with only Glasses, Sparkles and Tapeface getting told to put money in their respective jars. Ida would probably never learn to loosen up, and Aoyama was far too addicted to cheese to stop eating it despite his lactose intolerance, so they almost always ended up with money in their jar. Sero, on the other hand, just forgot to filter himself whenever the opportunity for that's what she said joke arose. The day ended and the class headed to their dorms, flopping onto the couches in the common rooms. They chatted aimlessly, none of them really having the energy to do much, nor ideas of things to do for that matter. Of course, Denki Kaminari was never one to let peace and quiet last. What do you guys think Aizawa does with our swear jar money? Dunceface asked. The group had decided to collectively refer to the individualized jars as swear jars, considering that was the premise of the idea. Aizawa didn't really care about swearing, so instead he had used the idea to create personalized jars for all of their so-called bad habits. Seriously, a little murder never hurt anyone. Maybe he donates it, Shitty Hair suggested, always the most optimistic of the group. No, that would be theft. He must keep it and plan to give it back to us at a later date, Glasses declared. Jar, the class replied in unison, calling him out for his overly tense outlook. That caused the boy to sigh, but drop a coin on the table nonetheless. Their jars were in the class, but they usually carried on the rules outside, simply dedicating some place or another to a work as a short-term jar. I bet he uses it to spend at a cat cafe, Shinso suggested, adding his input. No way Aizawa-sensei goes to cat cafes. Are you insane? I'm literally his adopted kid. I think I would know. I bet he spends the money on coffee. Maybe he gives it to the school to help pay for scholarships. He's probably saving it. Maybe he's investing it. Guys, this is clearly not going to end here, so let's just find out, Deku suggested. Like Aizawa would tell us, that would defeat his whole purpose. So, we know plenty of stealth skills. We can get close and then Jiro can listen. Maybe the teachers will talk about something. You lot are all idiots, Bakugo grunted, the first thing he had bothered to contribute to the conversation as he sat, flopped into a couch, just paying enough attention to decide when his input would be needed. What would you do, Bakugo? Just get Deku to ask him when the rest of the class isn't around. All he's got to do is look genuinely curious and Aizawa will answer literally any question. There's no chance that will work, Momo replied at the same time Shinso said, Oh yeah, Izuku could convince him easily. They all stared at Shinso for a moment, well except Bakugo, who knew for a fact that he was right. So, as one, they turned their gaze on Deku. Yeah, sure, I'll give it a go, Deku agreed, looking to be getting up before Mina waved him back down. Wait, before we find out officially, surely we place bets, Mina insisted, practically bouncing at the idea. Sure, what are the options we're going with? Kirishima asked as Deku flopped back into his chair. What did we say? There was charity, cat cafes, returning it to us, coffee to deal with us. Any other big ones? No one said anything, so Mina nodded, collecting bets from each person on what they thought it would be. When they got to the end, everyone looked at Bakugo expectantly. Are you not playing, Bakugo? Don't be lame, join us. You're all wrong. I bet that he's doing something fucking wholesome with it, or some shit. Probably something Dad Zawa like. Bakugo grunted, dropping a small wad of cash on the table, actively outbetting the rest of them. No one argued it, so Deku left to find out the answer. The room was filled with anticipation while he was gone, and Denki managed to come up with more and more unlikely answers. As terrifying as Mr. Aizawa was, Denki's theory that he's using the money he made from them to run a crime ring was a bit far-fetched. Suddenly, Deku came rushing in, face red and panting, how he clearly sprinted back here. What did he say? Half the class shrieked. I didn't even have to ask. I overheard him and oh my goodness, it's so sweet. What did he say, Deku? Bakugo finally snapped. If Deku fell into one of his mumbling rambles, the rest of the class might actually implode. It was possible. He spends it on Eri, Deku burst, practically squealing the words. The entire class made a, what would you even call that? Happy noises? Bakugo had no clue. He didn't judge them for it, though. Eri was the one human he could actually stand. Eventually the class settled down, excited murmurs and giggles still spreading through the room. Okay, now that we're all calmish, can you tell us the whole story, Deku? Baku gritted out, collecting his money. He had very much guessed it right. Wholesome Dad Zawa shit. Yeah, so Aizawa and President Mike were talking, so of course I waited before I went in, 'cause you gotta let them finish. But then I realised they were talking about Eri, and so of course I was worried, and I had to listen in at that point, obviously. And I realised Aizawa has been planning things for Eri to do that she hasn't done before, and spending the swear jar money on to pay for it, Deku said without so much as a breath until the end. Again, the class fell into chaos, and Bakugo just sunk back into his chair, thinking. He once more waited for quiet and then started the most logical thing. I will have the most money in my jar by the end of this week. None of you fuckers can hold a candle to the number of times I threatened to kill you. You're dead, Deku. See? That's one already. Wait, Deku protested, because of course Deku had to protest all of Bakugo's ideas. What nerd? We can't let Aizawa know that we know what he's doing, or he'll just stop the jar rule as a whole. If we want to get Eri all the money we can, Aizawa can't know anything's up. I propose a challenge, Pinky declared, because of course she did. Whoever gets the most money given gets a week of chores. Whoever gets the least covers for them. And if Aizawa finds out, whoever's responsible has to do something depending on the person. Like if it was Bakugo, he would have to cook food for all of us or something. Bakugo glowered at Mina for the suggestion he would lose, but he didn't bother saying anything. Wait, that's not fair. I can't go around spending money like that. I barely have enough as it is, Eureka pointed out sadly. I'll pay as much as any of you need, Momo offered, and if you need help doing something from the jars, I'm willing to help since I can't participate. Ojiro, Tsu, Shoji, and Sato all added their agreement to join Momo in the second half of that offer. The four didn't have a jar for themselves, which would be a compliment from Aizawa if it weren't for how insane the other jars were. You just had to be vaguely normal and you wouldn't get a jar. All right, does everyone agree to the terms? Momo asked, and the class nodded as one. They were ready for this. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next time.